All right, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to me today, and welcome to this interview.
No, thanks, Fred. Really, really happy to be here.
If you want to start out by telling me and all the viewers a little bit about yourself, like who are you, what's your name, where you're from, what you're doing.
Yep. Yeah. So my name's Dorian. I'm from a town in Australia called Bendigo. It's a bit north of Melbourne. Um, yeah. I guess I've been a part of the community probably just a bit under 12 months, but really just picked up the trading more sort of full time probably since about August, September last year. Um, but have played around with stocks and various other assets in the past. I actually studied economics and finance, so and funnily enough, my honors thesis was on pricing foreign exchange. So I always wanted to get into it, but just never had the, I don't know, I think the problem with studying economics or finance is they actually scare you off it. You focus very much on the risk, and
Mhm.
yeah, there's not a lot of focus on the strategies. So it always seemed like a bit of a leap for me to get into it. So I saw some stories about the community, and obviously there was some socials from yourself, Fred. So I thought I'd give it a shot just to see what it was about. Yeah, that was great because I think what I hadn't really thought about, sort of coming out of um, uni, we were focused very much on sort of fundamental analysis. They really rubbish um, technical analysis in academia. It's the so I really wanted to see what it was all about. So yeah, I started to learn a bit about the price action analysis that you do, and um, you know. Got me into really looking at what the markets were doing as well. So what I've really enjoyed about the journey so far is that it's forcing me to go, look at the economic news, the political news, and think about, all right, what's my bias on this pair? What do I think gold's going to do? What do I think crypto's going to do? So really bringing that side of things into it, and then applying what I've learned through the community and sort of my own research in the technical side of things to try and think about, okay, well, is it doing what I think it's going to do? How do I time my entry? Where should I set my TPs? Thinking a lot about my uh my risk reward and so on. So yeah, I think I sort of mentioned to you when we were talking about the interview, I was doing this at sort of part-time right up until um I think about because I was still working, but I lost my job around July of last year. I was just made redundant, got a bit of a payout. I also my son was sort of fell ill a bit earlier on that year, so he was diagnosed with a brain tumor.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so Yeah, it's pretty full on. Look, it's not a really aggressive one. It's something that he should be able to live with, but he's had several rounds of brain surgery this year, in the last year, and we have to keep watching it. So it's a bit, it's been a stressful time. Um, and sort of losing my job, I was added stress, but I think in the end I thought, well, look, I get a chance. You know what? This is a chance to sort of spend more time with my son, think about what I want to do. I was in a very stressful job, worked in banking and building sort of risk models, econometric models for banks. So basically a quant, or they call it AI these days.
Hmm.
So building AI models to detect risk and fraud, that sort of thing. Um, so there was a lot of hours, a lot of travel. So what it sort of meant is I've been able to spend more time with my son. Just that's been great. And then what I've wanted to do with my uh, trading is see whether I can I get, limit the hours I have to work so that I can continue to spend that time with him. I just I think events like that really put things in perspective. So what I'd love to be able to do is, not that, if I can make it a full-time job, I'd love it. But at the very least, if it means, I don't have to go back into that sort of really fast-paced consulting career, then that would be ideal. Um, yeah, it's been good. It's been a bit up and down. Let's say the election absolutely destroyed me. Was not expecting that Trump dump that we saw, but that's okay. I didn't lose everything, but there was a bit of a hit there, and I know a few other people in the community have had found the same thing. So I didn't. It's one of those things where it's one of those things where I've listened to a few podcasts, and one of the comments from a trader that was being interviewed really stood out. He said, "Look, the market, the market will always smack you on the ass." Um, and he was right, and I even remember Hartej saying at the election, she's like, just don't trade through this. We don't know what's going to happen, and I didn't listen. So it's just one of those lessons I need to,
It's the
I just
lesson,
need
man.
to
It's
remember.
part of the journey, man. Sometimes you mess up here and there, and that's okay. I mean, if you do
Yeah.
it the first time, it's okay. It's a mistake. But if you do it the second time, it's on you, man. It's not a mistake anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah, fool me once, shame on me.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that's right. And so look, that's okay. It hasn't put me off. I've taken it as a learning experience. So, I've been a lot more mindful around trading around news now. Particularly things like the NFP. But yeah,
Hmm.
I always try and close my positions out before like really big news drops. So yeah, I've definitely learned the lesson. Because and I've seen like even when, news drops and you think, okay, say unemployment's up, that's going to be good for gold. And it just goes the other way anyway. So, you can't even anticipate
No, no,
the
no.
move.
It doesn't matter. It's different every time. It's just a 50-50 gamble every time you trade news. So you got to be very
Yeah.
careful with that for sure. But you're
Yeah,
trading full time now. You don't have any job on the sides anymore. You're trading full time for a living now.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, look, it's the hour's a bit tough in Australia. I do. Asia, I think I noticed since the election, the US election, Asia's actually been a lot more active. So particularly in gold, so there's a bit of movement then, and it has been good. But I do stay up and try and trade most of the New York session. Um, so and then just sort of adjust my sleep hours a bit to manage that. And that's doable. I think I've been probably doing more sort of swing trades on foreign exchange, so that helps a bit. So if you can sort of
Yeah,
find an entry in it, yeah, which is good. I think I'm finding like gold seems to be more of a sort of scalping exercise. So um, yeah,
for
I
sure.
did. Yeah, yeah. I know, and I know like what I've really appreciated is both yourself and Hartej have pointed out, swing trade opportunities in gold. That they're doing really well. So um, the other one is I did there was Solana and Ripple have both done really well as swing trades too. So it's not there are some I wouldn't call them set and forget, but things you don't need to watch as closely that have been popping up I think through the community that I've really appreciated.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. I feel like trading kind of have also, I mean, getting fired from your job is obviously very hard, especially with all the things going on with your son and all these kind of things. But also, trading has kind of been the savior there, right? Because you have more time to be home, to be with your son. If you can trade from home full time, that's because that's the power of trading for me. Like, I mean, I don't have, luckily for me, I don't have any diseases or anything, but it's more like the
hmm,
freedom of to be with your family, your loved ones, and do whatever you want, whenever you want, right? That's what
absolutely.
why I do trading and why it suits me so well.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's the thing, so I want to I can really fit my life in around that. It's having really given me that flexibility. One of the things we want to do is a friend and I are going to work on a little EA just for our own purposes. But because I used to build machine learning models and sort of automated decisioning systems for banks. I thought, well, look, it's exactly the same principle for trading. So look, I've got no idea whether it's going to work, but it'll be a fun exercise. So,
Yeah,
and
of
if it
course.
makes me money, it's yeah. So, like it gives me the freedom to work on those sorts of projects.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So yeah, it's a bit of
It's
fun.
fun,
So
man. It's good to have time for yourself, and that's what's trading is doing. How long have you been part of Fred Trading now, you said?
so on the trading CFDs for the last well, since I joined the Fred trading community, so it'll be I think I joined around March or April last year. So coming up
Okay.
to 12 months.
Okay,
Um
so going up towards a year soon. Okay, that's cool.
yeah.
But did you also trade you didn't trade CFDs before joining Fed Trading, it was mostly stocks and stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Mostly stocks, but I've been trading stocks for probably 25 years.
Yeah, yeah. So you
Yeah,
do have a
yeah,
lot of experience in the trading industry. Obviously, you have the education as well. I also have an AP in financial management from Copenhagen Business Academy, but dude,
yeah.
it was useless. I never used it for anything.
No,
It
no,
was,
at all.
it was mostly about like learning how to invest for customers, but long term. It's mostly long term investments. It's not like fast CFD trading or anything. So it's pretty useless when it comes to day trading, in my opinion. Like
Oh,
I didn't learn
exactly.
anything I'm using now in my university degree for sure. I mean,
Oh, 100%. Look, we did some really, I remember doing some really simple stuff on pricing options and futures and like fixed interest stuff. But like you look at those markets and you go, they're just so complicated. I'm like, I would not try and apply what I learned at uni on that. It's just, yeah, it just feels like a fool's errand. So
yeah,
yeah.
for sure. For sure. So I'm very interested to hear in how the whole CFD journey have begun because it doesn't have to be only from the Fred
Mm.
trading community, but since you joined Fred trading and started, how much did you start out with back then, and how much profit have you made since you started trading CFDs?
Yeah, so I just started out with a couple of thousand and look, I managed to double that pretty quickly in the community, but I just because of sort of personal reasons, I had to sort of take a bit of a back seat and just with uh sometimes I was finding it hard to to stay up for uh for things like that, the really active times like the New York market. So I took a bit of a break up until I lost my job, and then I tipped in some of uh, my payouts then. So I managed to turn I think it was about $40,000 into 60. I
Wow.
lost that profit again during the election, so that wasn't like I said, that was my fault. But
Hmm.
actually I lost a bit more. No, no, it was I lost a bit more. I think it dropped down about 35, and so that was my I was a bit sort of like, what do I do? And I thought, look, just keep with it. I know what the mistake was, and since the election, so kind of October, really through November as well. Um, you know, uh, I've managed to turn that back into 60,000. So I'm back to where I was before the election. So that was, yeah. And, that was through a few trades. A lot of the gold scalpings helped. The, but the swing trades, the Solana and Ripple swing trades, in
Yeah, for
particular,
sure.
really boosted it.
So how
Yeah.
much did you put in of that? You put 40 in of that? You
Yeah.
put
Yeah.
40, okay, so
Yeah.
you made
Yeah. That
how
was my
much
initial bet.
profit did you make since that?
Yeah. So that was, so it's about 20,000. So what's that, a 50% jump?
That's
So,
still pretty damn good, bro. Like 20,000
no,
is still pretty damn good, man. It's
yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna expect that every 3 months. I know it's not, you don't get those every.
that would be awesome though.
I know. But it's good, and I've started sort of playing around with sharing signals on the trading ideas group as well. So
Mhm.
um, one really good example. I know you were trading the downtrend on the British pounds last year.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I was, yeah.
And that reappeared again, I think, just at the start of January, that same
Mhm.
trend. So I was like, look, I've seen this before. Let's do it. And yeah, we got think a couple of trades. We got, somewhere in the order of about 300 pips trading that down. So that was,
That's
yeah, that
nice,
was
man.
really cool. Yeah. So
That's
it's sort of
nice.
like trying to take notice and, see if I can sort of apply what I'm learning off
Mhm.
the trades that you and Hightech are providing as well. So yeah, it's been, that's really cool when you sort of, um, you're able to sort of pick up those trends and go, I've seen this before. We know
Mhm.
what to do.
Well, that's where it's most powerful. If you know how to look at the chart yourself, and you've been in the industry for a long time, maybe not CFD, but stocks, so you know how to read candlesticks at least. So
Yeah.
so so what I always recommend is people to at least get familiar with how everything works. Maybe know how to draw the support lines, resistance areas, trend lines, all this kind of thing. Look at the charts themselves, and then when we send trades out, then at least you can look at the chart yourself, and if you agree with what we're seeing, then take the trade yourself. That's the
Yeah.
perfect way to trade, obviously.
Uh,
But you need to know a little bit
100%.
about looking at the chart yourself, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and look, I definitely recommend, for anybody that sort of joins the community, I'd say, look, you do the training before you go and try and uh, you know, trade anything yourself, beyond the signals that are being provided, do the training because, I think it's just really valuable.
Mhm.
Once you learn how to create those or identify the support and resistance zones, the trend lines, then it all sort of starts to come together. Um, I mean, it even sort of prompted me to go just YouTube, um, support and resistance and some more price action concepts as well. So, I'm even um, it's sort of looking at things now where you're like, oh, I can see it's a bullish pennant forming, or I made a bit of money off a Euro AD just before Christmas, and I'm like, I'm like, that looks like an ascending triangle, I'm like, I reckon that's going to break out soon, and
Mhm.
you're like, yeah, and sure enough, it did. So it took, had a chance, and so yeah, the more you can sort of go and sort of learn, the better. I think the better you become.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, price action is the way to go, at least for me. I hate when
Yeah.
people use all these indicators. They can, sometimes you see these
Ah,
charts where there's like 700 different indicators on, and you can't even figure out what's going on. I freaking hate it. I've been trading price action for the last 5 years, and I
yeah,
do an average of 2, 3, 400K every single month, only trading price action. I don't use a single freaking stupid indicator,
yeah,
and it works. It just works. You have to keep it like very, very, very simple. That's always how I go. I mean, your charts needs to be as clean as possible.
yeah. 100%. And I think, there's that concept of we'd always talk about it in my old industry, analysis paralysis. There's if you've got too many, you're trying to synthesize too many things into a single decision. What
Yeah.
happens if all your indicators disagree with your price action analysis? Are you ever going to make a trade? Like you either risk over trading or completely under trading.
Mhm.
Yeah,
For sure. Well, I'm very happy that it's going very good now. Like let's see if we can keep the 20K every 3 months up. That would be very
oh,
nice.
that'd be amazing.
And I also hope that I I at least hope that I do my part to make sure that you can have more freedom and trade from home and be with your kid and all this kind of stuff. That's why we do what we do to help also people like you, man. So I'm proud of you, bro. We'll just keep grinding.
Yeah, look, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's awesome. Look, I really appreciate the all the assistance and that just, the whole vibe of the community. I think it's, like I know people get shitty and there's differences of personality, but I think overall, like it's fun. People, most people have a sense of humor and we're all there for the same reasons. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Man, I appreciate it, bro. Do you have anything you want to ask me now? Now that you actually have me here one on one,
Yeah. Yeah, I had a couple of questions
shoot
actually. It's
away,
just, I
shoot
guess,
away.
yeah. Oh, it's because I was thinking about this. So I had one, I was really specific one, just particularly about your price action trading. So I know you've said a couple of things in the live sessions so the place I'm still struggling with is timing entry. And, you know, so I've sort of been watching what you do on the live sessions, and I think, you're generally trying to anticipate what it's going to do off a support or resistance zone. But I remember you saying you don't look for the candles to to see whether it's going to reject or not. So you're not sort of like, I don't look for, engulfing, bearish engulfing candles or anything like that.
Well, the
Is that
thing
right?
is,
Like,
interest is always the most tricky part, right? Where to find
mm,
your entry.
yeah.
But for me, it's also a lot about my gut feeling because I
Mm,
specialize in four pairs. I specialize in DJ30, NAS 100, oil, and gold, and especially DJ30 and NAS. That's what I make most of my money off. And
mm,
a lot of times I do not wait for the candlestick because I can get a much better entry if I don't wait for that candlestick, candlestick rejection. But the reason I do that it's also kind of my gut feeling, and I think it's the experience because I've been looking at these two pairs every freaking day, 5 days a week for I don't know how many years now. And when you look at something that
yeah.
much every single day, you just kind of have a feeling on what's going to happen. So sometimes it's not as much the price action, it's also just the gut feeling. But for me, there's like if you have a nice candle rejection at a specific support area and you have the trend line and the trend line and the support
Mm,
area is combining into a nice little X, right? And you have a candlestick rejecting, then that's always the most perfect time for me to enter. But ideally, you would want to wait. I don't know if you want to live last time, but if you have like a support area here and you have a lot of candlesticks that's closing up here, but you have the wicks down, I at least always tend to
yeah.
wait to see if the next candlestick closes below all the previous
Yeah.
candlesticks, right? If it does that, I'm not gonna go in and enter that position. But if it closes just above, it's okay if there's wicks down. If it closes just above here, then that's a
Yeah.
perfect indication for me to enter. So I like to make sure that the candlestick doesn't close below the previous candlesticks where they closed. It's okay if there's wicks. I just don't want it to close
Yeah.
below that. That's mainly
Yeah.
what I look for. And if that happens, I don't have necessarily to wait for the next bullish candle to enter to be sure that there is a reversal. I just enter down there then most of the times. And
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a gamble sometimes, but you do get a much better entry. And I do have some rules that I stick by, but the entry is always the hardest part. It's a little bit hard to explain.
Yeah.
It's easier to show you on the chart, but I hope you kind of
Yeah.
get what I mean.
I do. Yeah. No, I noticed just having sort of put a few signals up on the trading ideas, yeah, if it draws down, you immediately you're getting heat from everyone. And it's like, look, I'm like, entry's not easy. Like just hold tight.
It
So
is not easy. I don't know. Were you on the live last time where we took the three gold trades?
oh no, I missed it. I missed it. Yeah.
Okay,
That was just
because that one would have been a perfect example.
yeah.
Because we had a support area, we had a
Yeah.
trend line, and I wanted to buy right here at where the support area and the trend line was like aligning,
Mm,
right? We then put in a small buy there first. We hit TP1, went back out at entry. It actually dropped below this trend line, so I entered a sell. But
mm,
in that specific case, I didn't wait to see if that 15-minute candlestick closed below the trend line
yeah.
or whether it closed above it. I just put in a sell because it wicked through it. And you
Uh,
can't really count much about wicks. So I closed that sell immediately. Soon as I saw it
yeah.
was just a wick down, it was like a trap
Yeah.
sell. And then it
Yeah.
actually closed above the trend line and the support area, even though it wicked down. And then soon as that happened, I entered a buy and we hit TB2 immediately. So
Yeah.
right there, I entered a little bit too soon. And I should have probably waited for the 15-minute candle to close because it did wick down below the trend line and the support area. But that's why it's important to wait for the candle to close sometimes.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
But that would have been a good
Yeah,
example last time.
yeah, yeah. So just more about your sort of broader sort of investing. So obviously you trade a lot in the CFDs and crypto, but I was just wondering, what's your sort of overall trading strategy? For instance, like Hitesh seems to be really keen on physical assets. So like gold, watches, that sort of thing. But like, do you have a sort of broader strategy um for your investment portfolio?
What do you mean exactly? just so I understand
Like,
it.
do you have sort of other asset classes that you like to invest in? Like,
Ah,
I was thinking, yeah, because
like
hard to just like, I don't ever
how
have
do
more
I
than,
diversify? How do I invest my
yeah,
money? Is that what you're asking about? Ah, okay.
yeah, exactly.
Well, most recently, I started buying. I started buying real estate and bonds and shit at the bank. That's kind of boring, and I would not do that in the beginning. A lot of people are like, "Oh, invest in S&P 500, invest in bonds, invest in real estate." But the
Yeah,
honest truth is that those kind of investments, they don't give you more than 5 to 10% a year in return, and you're not going to get rich of that unless you have $30 million, right?
yeah,
So I started doing that now because I have the money to do it now. So I can invest big enough amounts that so it actually generates a nice side income for me.
yeah,
I've invested $10 million plus in these kind of things, and most people don't
yeah.
have that, right?
That's right.
So I would not recommend going into boring bonds. Maybe single stocks could be fun. Like that can give a nice return, but that's also risky. But
Yeah,
I would recommend um trading and crypto. That's how I made,
yeah,
honest to God, that's how I made 95% of my money. It's by
yeah,
trading and investing in crypto. It's also two very high risk assets. Like
mm,
you need to know what you're doing, right? But for example, in this crypto bull run, I've made $1.5 million profit so far, and I'm expecting to make, if we have the next altcoin season, I'm expecting to make 2.5 million
yeah,
dollars. But other than that, man, focus on one thing in the beginning that you're good at, and then build up your net worth. And then once you have as big net worth, you can start investing into other shit. But don't
yeah.
try, 'cause there's so many people. Then I'm trying e-commerce. I'm
Oh,
trying
yeah,
day trading. I'm trying. Don't do that. Focus on one
mm,
thing you're good at, and then make more. Because I can assure you, most multimillionaires made most of their money in one specific area. And then
mm,
after that, when they have a lot of money, you can start investing in other stuff.
yeah,
So for me, I made most of my money day trading. And then as soon as I had enough money to day trade, I didn't started to invest in other boring stuff. So like real estate, like bonds, like S&P 500.
yeah,
And crypto, I wouldn't really go into it unless you know what you're doing, because you can also lose all your money very fast
yeah.
in
Oh,
crypto.
it's been insane, hasn't it? Yeah,
Man, I was
yeah,
just focused on day trading and then building up your capital, whether that's with your personal funds, funded accounts, whether it's investments coming in, because you can show
mm,
up a track record, something like this. Just
yeah,
focus on day trading. Put in 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I've
yeah,
made 95% of my net worth in the past 2 years. Uh,
mm,
because soon as I had a big capital, I could start making more money, right?
yeah,
Um, so it just it takes time, man,
yeah,
to compound and make more money, because I made a lot of money. I came from like making 2, 3K. I worked in a bank, one of the biggest banks in Denmark. I was also only a trainee. I never finished the education.
yeah.
Um, but I made 2K a month there after taxes. It was horrible.
Oh
Um,
no.
and then I started trading. And soon as I made like twice the money I made in the bank, I quit my job. I focused on trading. And then the
Yeah,
next 2 years, I made maybe 5K, 10K, 20K a month, which is a lot of money, but it's not the
mm,
kind of money I make now. And then in
yeah,
the past 2 years, that's where I started to make 200K in a month, 500K in a month, sometimes 800K, sometimes 1 million in a month I can make now.
mm.
But that takes many years to build up your capital to do that. So it's just about being consistent, man, and keep building up your account and making money, and then eventually you're a freaking multi-millionaire. That's how I did it.
No, nice one. And bit of a bullshit question, but I'm actually keen. I'm keen to see what you come up with.
Mhm.
What you got it like the one single thing you think like the most important lesson you've learned in trading? Like what would you say that is?
I think the most important lesson there is in trading is, I have two things. It is to be consistent, first of all, because the reason 90% of all traders fail is because they're not consistent and they stop after a month or two. Treat trading like an education, like going on a university. Treat it like a 3 year degree or something. So
Mm,
be consistent, stick to it. And I can assure you, if you stick to it and you are consistent, you will be profitable at the end. And
yeah,
then the other thing is, find a strategy that works for you and stick to it. Don't try
Yeah.
to experiment with all kind of weird shit. I'm not saying you have to use price action. Price action works for me. Some people trade very good with Fibonacci, all these gaps and all. I don't know. I don't even know what that is. I don't use it.
Yeah.
Find find one strategy that works for you and
Yeah.
stick to it and be consistent and don't give up. That's probably the two most important things I can say.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's actually really helpful.
For sure, brother.
Fantastic.
I have another guy haunting me. I had another interview 8 minutes ago, but it was
Oh, no stress, man. I've actually got to get a plane anyway, so I better run.
oh, perfect, man. But it was a pleasure talking to you, brother. And if you have anything, I'm only a message away, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time out to talk to me, man.
No, you too, mate. It was really good to chat. Thanks for that, Fred.
For sure, man. Have a good day, brother.
You too, mate. See ya.